You know what Sony had? The Holy Trinity. Leo, Brad, and Margot. Who do you have?
This week, Shane and I are discussing Clint Eastwood and Hilary Swank in 2004's Best Picture winning $1 Million Baby. This is Boy Party. It's your fault. Yeah, it's your fault she's lying in there like that. I knew I shouldn't have done it. Her being a podcaster and all. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Boy Party. Jangly keys, Shane. Hello, welcome to this episode of Boy Party, a podcast about movies where two major stars share the screen and battle it out for first billing, the most screen time, the most acclaim, and the fattest paycheck. This week, we are discussing the Best Picture winning film of the year 2004, Clint Eastwood's $1 Million Baby.
Ding, 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 ding.
Joining me as always, my name is Lucian. I'm in the ring today with, joining me as always, my fierce opponent. He's trained me to be the best boxer in the game despite his incredibly strong levels of subtle sexism against me. Weighing in at a healthy number of pounds, it's Shane Kelly.
Joining me always, it's Shane Kelly.
Was that my good boxer commentator announcer voice?
Yeah, sure.
It's $1 Million Baby.
You were very, very sensitive to my body.
Sure.
Thanks.
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Why is the movie title, The $1 Million Baby, the title, not said in the movie?
Well, first of all,
did they name it after they finished filming?
it's a completely inappropriate title in a way.
Yeah. No one ever makes $1 million.
She doesn't make $1 million. She is... It's a whole plot point of the film that she's too old to be boxing.
Mm-hmm.
They do use dollars, to be fair. They're in the United States.
There is a 1941 movie called $1 Million Baby that is a romantic comedy starring Priscilla Lane, Jeffrey Lynn, and Ronald Reagan. That has nothing to do with this. No boxing element whatsoever. Weird to reuse the title of a film starring America's number one most beloved conservative cowboy.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good bit to reclaim all of the names of every Ronald Reagan film and make them the second thing that shows up when you search the name.
Sure. Is Clint Eastwood the person to reclaim Ronald Reagan's IP from him? I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't like Reagan very much.
I doubt that highly, but maybe. I feel like Clint Eastwood, like we talked about John Wayne 2 weeks ago, who was another cowboy actor, and they tried to get John Wayne to go into politics, and he was like, absolutely not, but my friend Ronald Reagan will. I feel like Clint Eastwood, I'm sure if I Google, I can see a poster of Clint Eastwood fucking campaigning for Reagan, but something tells me that Clint Eastwood might think Reagan was a bit of a hack, just in terms of like, Clint Eastwood takes himself very seriously.
Buddy, I'm also a movie star and I'm not running for politics kind of thing.
Look, a quick Google search has produced many photos of the men together.
Never mind.
Looking like friends.
Okay.
Shaking hands. Acting in a film together. So I think Clint Eastwood and Ronald Reagan were actually probably best pals.
That's what assuming does.
So 2004... Best Picture winner, $1 Million Baby. I think this is the first year, second year that I ever engaged with the Oscar ceremony in any way. I remember, I think the year before, catching a little glimpse of Peter Jackson winning, and my parents being like, "Yeah, Return of the King won Best Picture," and I knew what Lord of the Rings was, and I hadn't seen it, but I was aware of all the stuff around it, and I was like, "Cool, that seems like a big good movie that should have won Best Picture." And then I remember the following year seeing that $1 Million Baby had won Best Picture and being like, what the fuck's that? And my parents being like, I don't know, the Clint Eastwood boxing thing. So very quickly, my brain was able to process from these two subsequent years that sometimes the Oscars give any old random shit Best Picture and several other Oscars, and you just kind of have to go along with it.
A lesson that kind of has lasted the test of time.
Lesson that has lasted the test of time. Every second year, it's like this. You get your Return of the Kings, you get your Oppenheimers, and you're like, oh yes, they got it right.
Yeah.
And then you get your Coda, your
Green Book.
Your Green Book. What else fits in this category? No, that's in its own category.
Okay,
I'm trying to think of just real middle
Shape
of the road.
Water.
Shape of Water, yes. Just real middle of the road, Best Picture winning films. And you're just like, oh yeah, they did give it to that. Argo. $1 Million Baby is one of those. I spent last night watching all the winning speeches from the people involved in this film. This movie wins picture, director, actress, supporting actor. Clint loses Best Actor to Jamie Foxx in Ray. Jamie Foxx loses supporting actor for Collateral to Morgan Freeman in $1 Million Baby.
Interesting.
Supporting actress goes to Cate Blanchett in The Aviator. Best Original Screenplay goes to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which beats The Incredibles and Vera Drake. Wow. And then
The Incredibles was getting screenplay nominations.
Yeah, that's something I forgot about. That's amazing.
Great, yeah.
And then Sideways wins Adapted Screenplay, beating Before Sunset and $1 Million Baby.
Some good stuff that year.
Yeah, well, 2004 is a great year.
Yeah.
Best Picture nominees are not a reflection of that. $1 Million Baby wins. The Aviator, Finding Neverland, Ray, and Sideways are the losers.
Sideways is the Giamatti thing?
Sideways is the Alexander Payne Giamatti thing, which I'm not into Sideways. I don't get it. I know most people.
You're just not a wine guy.
I'm not a wine guy. I find its particular brand. I got very Idina Menzel there. Wickedly talented. I find its particular brand of midlife crisis to be annoying and not charming.
Maybe I'll age into it.
Maybe I will. The Aviator is fine. It is an okay, very by the numbers sort of historical biopic, in my opinion. It's like bottom tier Scorsese for me. It has, it's directed, handsomely, but I don't think it's anything special. Finding Neverland, I saw when it was released in the cinema, and it was really one of the first movies I ever saw in the cinema that was like aimed at adults. It's Johnny Depp as the author of Peter Pan. It is, by all accounts, a snooze. And then Ray, I haven't seen Ray Charles biopic, obviously, with Jamie Foxx. So that is not the best of 2004 reflected in those nominations. For Best Director, they actually swap out the director of Finding Neverland to give Mike Leigh a nomination for Vera Drake, which is a very cool and good decision.
Yeah.
But you can see here, they knew The Incredibles and Before Sunset were great films.
They were in the
and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind won screenplay. So why on earth were those three films not nominated for Best Picture?
You can't look at Eternal Sunshine and think, the performance let this down. The cinematography let this down.
Yeah, they nominated Winslet.
Okay.
But I'm just a bit baffled as to how Eternal Sunshine was able to win screenplay and wasn't able to sneak in there over Finding Neverland. That's crazy.
This is still back in 5 Best Picture nominations?
5 nominations. Yeah, I do think in a world where there was 10 nominations that year, all of those movies make it in.
So was
I think definitely
the nominations back then, was that a jury?
No, it's always been the same.
It's always been all the members of the Academy.
I can't quite explain the thing right now off the top of my head, but yeah, it's not a jury.
Or it's not like a selected 100 people.
No, I believe the general membership of the Academy gets to vote on Best Picture.
Sure.
But the other ones are based on the different chapters. So in Best Director's case, the reason that who the fuck directed Finding Neverland, the Quantum of Solace guy, Mark Forster, the reason he doesn't get into Best Director is because he's not a serious director, and the directors are like, yeah, we're going to nominate Mike Leigh, thanks,
Yeah.
The Incredibles definitely gets a Best Picture nomination if there's 10. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Do you think people were compensating by giving... No. Were they like, okay, if we don't give you a Best Picture, we will definitely give you a screenplay nomination kind of thing? Was there a bit of compensation?
Because the directors were voting on the directors and the writers were voting on the writers.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
I don't think that people are voting on 2. Maybe they are.
Splitting ballots.
Yeah. But anyway, the winners who go up on stage to accept for $1 Million Baby are Clint and Tom Rosenberg, and then Albert S. Ruddy. And Albert S. Ruddy is the producer of The Godfather. And he is the guy that Miles Teller plays on the show The Offer. Mm-hmm. And he only won 2 Best Picture Oscars. This is the second one. And his first Best Picture Oscar for The Godfather was presented to him by Clint Eastwood. And he is so funny. If you watch the speech, he's like this incredibly 20th century specimen. He talks like an old movie producer, and he's like, it's great to make $1 Million Baby. And you're like, where do they get this guy? Like, he is from another era. He was still alive until last year.
What?
And he produced all of Clint's movies up to Cry Macho. It's nuts. Or many of them anyway.
Cry Macho.
We'll get to Cry Macho.
We'll get to Cry Macho.
Hilary Swank wins Best Actress. It is her second Best Actress Oscar in 5 years. I watched both of her winning speeches back to back. Her first speech, she's quite charming. She's very young. She's got a really outdated late 90s haircut. She's real like, oh, this is wonderful. She's very, very humbled by the moment.
Okay, it's not Zoe Saldana like.
Oh no, it's not quite. No.
Okay,
her $1 Million Baby speech is like the complete opposite. It's so stiff and rehearsed, and there is no emotion whatsoever. And she tries to pull this shit of like, well, folks, it's just amazing that a small town girl like me could be here winning another Oscar. And it is so rehearsed, you can almost like feel her reading it off a script. And then she does this thing, which maybe is a reflection of her character in a good way, but she does a thing where she basically lists every HOD on the film one by one. And it is tedious to listen to. Like, it does not make for a good speech. And it just seems like she has learned off a list in order to repay favors or something. And she's
I guess there's a little bit like when you win your second one, you're like, all right, I've had my moment.
This is for everyone else.
This is for everyone else.
She's like, and also there was no like, it wasn't exactly like a comeback after it wasn't as if she had like
what was it, 2 or 3 years
to prove.
How many years were
4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years.
She was just doing well for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what happened to Emma Stone this year.
Sure,
where you're just like, you're on a good streak. Here's another one. It's not oh god, the last 20 years have been so hard. I'm finally getting my second Oscar. But her speech the second time is like so learned off, and she just seems like the stiffest person and has no natural charisma at all.
I wonder, was she the bookie's favorite going into this?
Hard to know. I have no idea. But she sounds like a middle manager in a corporation talking about the weekly reports or something. Yeah. She beats Annette Bening both times. So the first time she beats Annette Bening in American Beauty, I could have sworn on my grave most of my life that Annette Bening had won Best Actress for American Beauty. She did not. And then she loses to Hilary the second time for being Julia. Surely there's something a little bit off in the universe there that Annette Bening has no Oscars and Hilary Swank has 2. It just feels wrong in the scheme of where they exist culturally. One of those is like an actress that kind of accolades and awards just rotate around her spirit. And the other one is Hilary Swank. She also beats Imelda Staunton and Vera Drake. Great performance. Kate Winslet in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, one of the great performances, and an actress I have never heard of called Catalina Sandino Moreno in a film called Maria Full of Grace. Would love to know what was going on there. Fair play to her. Good job. Freeman wins Best Actor, and this is a great category. Listen to the boys he beats. Okay. This is just 4 fantastic nominees. Yeah. Alan Alda in The Aviator. Okay. One of the greats. Thomas Hayden Church in Sideways. Jamie Foxx in Collateral, and Clive Owen in Closer.
He got an Oscar nomination.
He sure did, as did Natalie Portman. That rules. That's so
fantastic. Fun. I'm glad Closer got some recognition.
I thought Closer got a Best Picture nomination.
I thought Closer was in the Carnage
no.
realm.
Insane that the 2 of them got nominated. Closer didn't get a screenplay nomination. Like, they are the only things that broke out of Closer.
What's going on there?
That's really weird. Because I think Closer did get a best drama film nominee at the Golden Globes.
No, I think Morgan Freeman is not doing a whole lot here.
No, we can talk about Morgan Freeman before we jump into the others, because we're not giving him the proper treatment, because we kind of half did him on Las Vegas anyway. I don't think Morgan Freeman's a movie star. I don't think he's a boy party level star. He is a just very famous character actor, but he is literally just regurgitating his Shawshank shtick in this.
Well, is he not by your definition the opposite of a character actor, considering we know him more for being himself rather than being the characters he plays?
Yeah, I guess so. I do think he plays different characters though. Like,
but I feel like we had this conversation before, and you try to define character actor.
Okay, I guess the issue he falls somewhere in the middle where he is like
a cultural.
He is not a movie
person.
Star. He is never the star of a movie. No. Maybe he's more on the level of like a Danny DeVito type, where he has a persona, people like him, he has a name that everyone knows.
Yeah.
You put his name on a poster under someone else's name, and people go, oh, a sign of quality. But is
he significantly less of a movie star than Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's never had his snakes on a plane, unless you want to talk Rob Reiner's film you can watch on YouTube for free.
Yeah, he never
the Magic of Belle Isle. He's never had his snakes on a plane.
Or he never got into Neeson territory. Like.
No, he's had with Shawshank in the same year he gets his version of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
him and Jackson both get those great roles that define them, I think. And he got Oscar nominated for Shawshank in lead, which is interesting.
Oh wow, okay.
Which I guess qualifies that movie as a boy party. that both of those guys are considered leads.
Yeah.
But you kind of watch then the following 10 years, this trickling of guilt that we didn't appreciate The Shawshank Redemption enough, and people love that movie. And you see a couple years later, Tim Robbins wins Best Supporting Actor for another Clint Eastwood movie, Mystic River, followed swiftly by Morgan winning his for $1 Million Baby. And it's like...
Followed swiftly by Annette Bening finally winning her Oscar.
Still doesn't happen, but someday. But you're looking there at like a real like 10-year rehab project for The Shawshank Redemption of the Academy being like, oh, fuck, lads, The Shawshank Redemption. We got to do something about this.
This one's good enough.
Yeah.
This one's
now,
good enough.
I would argue a movie that, like, if you think, what's a movie in the last 10 years or last 15 years that they should have done that for? They should have done that for The Social Network. They should have been like, oh, we fucked that one up. Any excuse to give Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield their supporting actor Oscars we should take. Like, I feel like there's that's another movie like that.
But I don't know if that film is defined by its performances as much as it is just kind of the style and pacing of it. It's more of a Sorkin thing and a Fincher thing than
I guess so. So you think Fincher would be the makeup there?
I think so.
What's another movie that's just like universally agreed to be one of the best ever in the last 15 years that they fucked up with and they should be making up for it now? I'm trying to think.
Well, Tom Cruise is getting his honorary Oscar.
Tom Cruise is getting his honorary Oscar, folks. Breaking news as time of recording.
Will he show up?
Oh, he would have agreed to show up before they give it to him.
Okay, right.
But they don't hand those out at the Oscars. They hand those out at the Governor's Awards.
Oh, never mind.
They won't be on TV.
Boo.
It'll be on YouTube.
Fuck that.
Or it'll be on like a cable channel. And John Mulaney hosted the last Governor's Awards. They're a casual thing. But Paul Newman famously won his first real Oscar the year after he got his Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
So Tommy C might be doing the same thing.
Has he got something in the works?
Well, the Nina Ree too, if they time it right.
Or if it's good.
Or if it's good, or both.
Yeah.
Anyway. Anything to say about Morgan Freeman in this? Yeah, so he wins the Oscar for this. I agree. Not a particularly good performance. He's just doing the most basic Morgan Freeman thing.
Yeah, he's doing the voiceover essentially.
He does the
doing
voiceover,
the thoughts of Clint Eastwood, which are not
that
necessary.
And there's a couple scenes where him and Clint Eastwood chat about old times.
Yeah, ultimately Morgan Freeman's voice is kind of making up for a lack of a score in this.
Yes. A lot of his scenes in this are him having banter with Jay Baruchel, Anthony Mackie, Michael Pena, and I guess that's it. Those three.
There's like another guy.
But Jay Baruchel and Morgan Freeman are like one of the main like dynamics at the core of this film.
I guess that's the comedic relief in this.
Yeah, Jay Baruchel shows up as like a, I don't know,
bit of simple Jackie,
a simpleton. Who wants to learn to box even though he's scrawny and from the south, and my mama used to say this.
His name is Danger.
Yeah, and Morgan Freeman, his name is Danger, and Morgan Freeman is like, oh, you stupid fool, I will train you. There's kind of a parallel thing going on with those two boys that's going on with Clint and Hilary in the foreground.
Maybe Jay Baruchel is the $1 Million Baby.
Maybe secretly, yeah. I'm amazed after it was such a hit that they didn't try and spin it off into a
there's a big
franchise.
There's a big moment in this where Anthony Mackie keeps beating up Jay Baruchel, and then Morgan Freeman beats him in a boxing match, and you're like, just come on now.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie barely registered for me in this. This film also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for Paul Haggis, and Paul Haggis wins Best Picture the following year for Crash. Just noteworthy there that for a brief moment, noted Scientologist and sexual abuser Paul Haggis was at the top of the movie world. Yeah. I think Crash is a slightly better film than this. I think they're both not terrible. I think Crash is like a little bit more fun than this.
Can I give you a live update from friend of the show, Owen?
Yes.
He just messaged, the audio on Boy Party is so good. Lots of O's there.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think that Nice Guys episode was the best audio we've ever had, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
The guest episodes peek behind the curtain. The episodes with guests tend to sound a little bit less clean just because there's a bit more echoing going on, I think. I will get to the bottom of that. Anyway, $1 Million Baby is based on a collection of short stories, I guess, called Rope Burns, Stories from the Corner by FX Tool. The made-up name of fight manager and cut man, Jerry Boyd. You do the plot of this film in 30 seconds or less for the folks.
Hilary Swank rocks up to the gym. I want to be a boxer, boss. Clint Eastwood. You're a girl. I don't train girls. His mind has changed. He trains the girl.
Yeah.
She's very good. She wins lots of fights. Eventually gets to a title fight with Billy Bluebear, who is an East German prostitute.
Amazing you remember
who
the
likes
name.
Who likes to play dirty.
Yeah.
And does play dirty. The fight ends with Billy Bluebear punching Hilary Swank in the back of the head after the bell has gone. Yeah. Hilary Swank falls, hits her head off the stool in the corner, and becomes completely paralyzed from the neck down.
and then gets Clint Eastwood to euthanize her.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
It is.
Why is this a euthanasia movie?
It is the best version of what could have come out of this.
Absolutely.
100%.
As soon as she ended up in the hospital, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny now if this ends with the assisted suicide storyline?
Because it's such
we wouldn't see that coming. And I was right.
You were right. And it's great when it's coming from the perspective of conservative man
doing the best thing for
Clint
his adopted
Eastwood.
daughter. Like,
yeah.
Clint Eastwood read the script and he was like, not right-wing enough. There needs to be an East German prostitute who paralyzes her.
A good American wouldn't do it.
They worked from there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2/3 a really, really by the numbers boxing drama, which feels at every stage like it's going to end with a triumphant victory and, underdog, rags to riches, yada, yada.
I don't know.
Rocky with a girl. And then in the last half hour, it is like the darkest, most morbid, miserable, satisfyingly so.
No, to be fair, like watching the fight scene between herself and Billy Blue Bear,
yeah.
I was properly in that. It's not like the most beautifully shot thing.
Sure.
But as far as like sports sequences go in films,
engaged,
like I was like,
okay.
oh shit. Because like I had no... The tone of the film leading up to this didn't give me any sense of which way it was going to go.
Sure.
It's like Miss Blue Bear had been touted as dirty and like into causing harm long term to other fighters, and I was like, oh, this is very early in the film.
Yes,
there's still 40 minutes left when she gets into this fight.
This couldn't possibly turn into a illness euthanasia thing in its last.
No, I was like, but it's not a clear victory path being led here either. So
yeah,
no, I was happy it took this pivot. Not from like a... It didn't make me happy to see poor Hilary Swank.
No, but
with a tube in her neck.
Oh, but I mean, it made the movie worth discussing.
100%,
and of any interest whatsoever. Any guesses where this movie sits in the Best Picture winners ranked by box office gross? So
how many we got? 95 here?
98, I'd say. 97.
Are we going inflation adjustments here now, or is this...
No, this is unadjusted.
Okay, so unadjusted, I'm assuming it's
number
top
one,
40.
Number one is Titanic. Like, it is
I'm going to say 28.
25.
25, okay.
And funnily enough, it is one place above Rocky. That's fun.
Interesting.
So this movie made $231 million worldwide.
Sure did.
Hilarious. Rocky did 225. Surely that's like the most people who have ever been exposed to a euthanasia sub-storyline. Like $500 million worth of people went to see this movie that ends with like a really dark assisted suicide scene. That's fucking compelling stuff. You know what made $262 million worldwide? Parasite. That's incredible.
Wow.
That's really amazing. Like that is a good
this is a Korean film.
Social commentary in a foreign language for adults with no like genre elements or movie stars.
How much money did Mickey 17 make?
Yeah. Now maybe in Korea you'd consider that movie to have stars in it, but $1 Million Baby just slightly above Rocky, Braveheart, Shape of Water, 12 Years Shape of Water did really well.
Wow.
12 Years a Slave, Kramer v. Kramer, No Country, Terms of Endearment, Cuckoo's Nest, The Sting, Unforgiven, Ben-Hur. The lowest grossing Best Picture winner, well, folks, I think you can guess. It is Anora.
Is it actually?
I think so. I think if you now this list is a few of the really early ones down the bottom, like 1931. I believe Anora is like maybe just of the last couple of. Yeah.
So what are we clocking in here? Like 10 million?
See, the inflation stuff is getting messed up here. I'm gonna sort of half take back what I just said.
Sure.
I mean, for example, Nomadland made less money than Anora, but that was released during COVID. Let's just forget I said that and move on.
Yep.
So Clint Eastwood is, I don't know, doing a version of his usual old man thing in this, but probably the friendliest version of this act that he's capable of, where he is a grumpy old man, but he's a grumpy old man who chooses to help someone else and to initiate a relationship with this younger woman.
There is, because like it's a key part of this is that he's estranged from his daughter.
Yeah. So they develop a and she's got no father in the picture. So they develop a father-daughter proxy relationship through this training, which is very moving then, I suppose, when he ultimately is the one to kind of like help her with her I want to die situation.
Like they become the closest person in each other's life.
Yeah.
Because Hilary Swank's family are a bunch of kind of redneck types.
Yeah, another thing I didn't love about this film is how it depicts her family as welfare, layabout.
Yeah, like
white trash.
she buys them. Margot Martindale's her mother, which you correctly guessed.
Called 1 minute before she showed up. Yeah. Margot Martindale's the mother, and Hilary buys them a house.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Don't give us a house. We'll take away our welfare."
No, I think she's correct. In that sense, that is a valid concern.
I agree with that completely.
They're going to take my Medicaid. I can't get my
that's
medicine.
Fine. But then they come to visit her when she's in hospital, and Clint Eastwood in the narration is like, or something is like, they've been checked into their hotel for 3 days and they haven't come
6
to the
days.
hospital. Yeah, and then they show up wearing Woody Woodpecker merch.
Disneyland.
And he's like,
stuff.
when you were visiting Mickey and Woody, she was here in the hospital. And it's just like, fuck off, Clint. Like, yeah. Like, oh, you want to show us that white trash would go to Disneyland with the money before they visit her? Not like, fuck off. This is how.
Sorry, there's also
media talks about welfare.
A bit of a
recipients.
slap back to that comment where they realized that they were actually too stupid to sign the name onto the house, so it's not their house to sell.
Yes.
And they were spending money they didn't have.
Yes. They're like, she's
anyway.
Yeah.
No, there is a very fun conflict versus the Catholic Church in this.
Yes, exactly.
Where Clint Eastwood is actually fighting the advice of Father Brian F. O'Byrne.
Yep, friend of the show, Golden Boy winner?
Nominee, anyway.
If the winner, Brian F. O'Byrne shows up as Father Horvath, who is weirdly not Irish, despite being played by Brian F. O'Byrne and being a priest. It would have been so easy to make him Irish, but they choose not to. There's also loads of Irish, we haven't mentioned, there's loads of Irish stuff in this, where Hilary Swank becomes...
Her name is Maggie Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and her boxing name becomes Macushla, which is apparently taken from an Irish song by Dermot McMurrow, and it means my pulse. Culsha McCree.
Okay.
Pulse of my heart. There you go. We were wondering the whole film.
There we go.
And Clint talks about Yeats the whole movie.
Yeah.
And at the end of the film, when she's in hospital, he reads The Lake Isle of Innisfree, which is a callback to our Quiet Man episode where we talked about Innisfree. But Brian F. O'Byrne, in a couple of really fun scenes, Clint Eastwood basically just goes to him throughout the film for like moral guidance. And
Clint Eastwood goes to the church every single day, and Father F. O'Byrne is like only a man who has a lot of crimes in his past, comes to church every day. And
like ultimately what? He goes to the priest to ask his advice on the euthanasia thing. And the priest is like, God does not approve of it. I think he says something along the lines of God would not approve of that, but like I know you're going to do it anyway.
I don't think he does. He says if you do this, you will be lost forever and never.
Oh right, okay.
And you will never recover.
Right. So Clint kind of makes an ultimate sacrifice of his upstanding position. He
does, yeah.
God's
no,
eyes.
The church are very much against this in all senses.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So the end of the movie is Clint Eastwood choosing to turn away from God to help this woman.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's fascinating stuff.
He also like
have to read
kind of does it in a way that would make it easily traceable back to him.
Oh, like he's 100% going to prison or
well,
he kill himself. Like,
he disappears. He walks out the door and is never seen again. And for some reason, Morgan Freeman sees the entire thing happen.
Yeah,
so I guess he can't have the voiceover otherwise.
Yeah, I guess he needs to know what's been going on.
Yeah,
or he wouldn't be able to tell us about it. Although he is just the voice of God, regardless. So
I guess so.
I don't know. Anyway, it's like kind of an interesting movie.
Like, I like to imagine it as the other side of the story of The Quiet Man, where John Wayne, the guy John Wayne killed in a fight.
This
is just what was happening back in the States.
There's a couple of shots that look like they're out of The Quiet Man.
It doesn't look anything as good as The Quiet Man.
It looks so fucking dark.
It's all shot. A lot of Eastwood stuff is just like
10%
color is just completely turned down.
This film may as well be in black and white. Like, look at the poster, folks. You'll know how dark this film is. The color is washed out of it. Well, anyway, it's kind of an interesting movie. It's borderline interesting, I would say. I thought it was going to be more boring than it was.
I agree. I think it takes a good pivot halfway through and becomes basically a different film. Yeah. Which is good. Keeps it fresh.
2/3 of the way through.
2/3 of the way through.
But it doesn't exist in the people's consciousness. I don't think that $1 Million Baby is like it has a very high rating on IMDb and stuff. But I don't think that this is like something that people are throwing on. Like, I mean, it's...
I think this is a film my dad could name, like...
Yeah, people could probably name it. I just feel like as Best Picture winners from the last 25 years go, the rewatches per year are probably quite low.
They're quite low.
I would say this, Argo, those kinds of ones don't get revisited much.
No, if a question on Pointless was name a Best Picture winner from the last 25 years.
Yeah, might have like a 4 on Pointless. Yeah. Everything on Pointless.
It's not a 0 though.
It's not a 0. No, you're right. It might have a 4. Would anything from the last 20 years have a 0? No, I don't think
I
so.
feel like there's a bit of a generational gap in the knowledge of this film
I would
here.
say Coda would get a 0 on
Maybe,
points.
yeah.
The phrase $1 million baby was used as an insult during pre-fight publicity by Sonny Liston to Muhammad Ali, the latter of whom was an underdog at the time. So there you go.
Fair. There you go.
There you go.
If my opponent called me $1 million baby, I'd be like, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently disability rights activists protested the ending and said that stereotype fueling disability prejudice is the mistaken assumption inherent in the message of the movie. The qualities of life of individuals with disabilities is unquestionably not worth living. This stereotype is contradicted by the personal experience of many. Yeah, okay, I get it. So they're basically saying the film implies that she couldn't possibly live a happy life in this state. I mean, there's literally a scene where he offers to look up college courses for her, and she's like, fuck no, I want to die. That is just... it's a movie about a specific person. I don't think that is a reflection.
It's a person who has not spent their life pursuing intellectual things and has only succeeded in physical activity.
Yeah.
And when you take the physicality away from them, there's not much left to this person.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think this film is claiming to be a commentary on every single person.
I think this is a specific situation, and it's not a general statement. I don't think.
Critics loved it. Roger Ebert's #1 film of the year. A.O. Scott's #1 film of the year. I'm a bit perplexed by that. Like, I mean, these guys not see.
I don't know. Maybe this is just like fucking revolutionary
Before
at the time.
Sunset. I don't think this was revolutionary at the time. We were around at the time, and it wasn't. Eternal Sunshine and Before Sunset, those are revolutionary movies.
This is not like the first film after whatever fucking Hays Code Nazis have suicide.
Does it exist in a kind of interesting post 9/11 space of like real bleak perspective? Maybe it does. Like,
yeah, maybe we need to make everything pro-America, happy post 9/11 kind of wore off of this. Maybe
maybe it's interesting.
The American fighter can die. Like,
so Clint obviously wins his second Best Director Oscar for this. His first Best Picture and Best Director Oscar are both won for Unforgiven in '93, which is absolutely a movie we could do on this podcast. We did Gene Hackman recently, and we might get to it someday. It's Hackman, Clint, and Morgan Freeman, and Richard Harris. And then he's nominated for Picture and Director again in 2004. Sorry, the year before this, the films of 2003, for Mystic River. And then he gets a Best Picture nomination, Best Director nomination again 2 years later for Letters from Iwo Jima, which is part of his
Flags of Our Fathers
duo with Flags of Our Fathers. It's funny that that's the one that gets latched onto. And then he gets a Best Picture nomination in 2015 for American Sniper. But for all of his awards baity films that he makes, that's the extent of his Oscar nominations, is what I've just listed. Is
not
those
even
5 movies.
Within 10 years of his last Best Picture nomination, he was not being granted a cinema release by the studio for his latest film.
It's insane.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
A very good film.
Good film. His last couple of films, I would say with the exception of The Mule, which I've never watched in full, are some of his best work as a director.
Oh, you think so?
I say this as someone who hasn't watched all of his films as a director by any means, but I think the cultural reputation of his last couple of movies is really strong and is going to stand by him after he dies. You're talking a run that begins with... Now, American Sniper I don't like. I'm not including that. But I would say the run of... I'm being a little bit facetious here, but the run of Sully, the 1570 to Paris, Richard Jewell...
1570
Cry Macho and Juror number 2.
Oh, buddy. I forgot it was him.
That's a fun run of movies that I would watch again.
Yeah.
Like, the worst one that I just listed is Cry Macho. I think the ones he's in are the least interesting. The Mule and Cry Macho are not that interesting. But Sully, 1517, Richard Jewell, and Juror number 2 have all got something going on. Yeah. Folks, we have a giant poster for Richard Jewell up in our house. I have a lot of affection for that film. Sully has grown on me over the years. That's just a good, workman-like, solid movie.
Tom Hanks doing a job.
Yeah. Juror number 2... rules is really fun. Well, I don't know if that movie's really fun. It's super high functioning.
It's very tight.
Yeah, it's really hard to fault it. I didn't adore it, but I thought it was good.
There's no real fat around the edges. Like,
yeah. Now his run prior to Sully is some of his worst. You're talking going in reverse.
Yeah.
American Sniper, Jersey Boys, J. Edgar, Hereafter, which I haven't seen, Invictus, Gran Torino. Like, that's really grim.
he made Invictus.
He certainly did make Invictus, absolutely.
But Morgan Freeman's in, of course he made it.
For the purposes of this podcast, slightly more interested in talking about him as an actor, obviously.
Can we talk about 1520 to Paris first?
Yeah, say what you will. 1517 to Paris.
1570. 17?
1517.
1517 to Paris. Yes, of course.
Why was the train leaving at such an uneven time? Surely the train would leave at 3:30, not 3:17.
No, it's not how trains work.
That is how trains work.
No, it's not.
A train leaves its departure station at an even time.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it absolutely does. If a train is going from Dublin to Cork or Dublin to Galway, it is leaving at 3:15, 3:20, 3:25. It is not leaving at 3:17. That's not true. That's utter nonsense. It would stop here where we live.
I feel like if you look at the departing Maynooth heading to Connolly on a Tuesday morning, it leaves at like 5:47.
Let's move on.
We'll move on. Anyway, this film is depicting the real life event of where a terrorist was stopped on a train from committing a knife attack or bombing or something.
Yeah, something.
But the absolutely insane thing about this is he cast the 3 U.S. Marine trainees, I guess,
real guys,
who participated in the real event.
Yep.
Toured them around Europe and made them recreate the activity on film.
Recreate their chill holiday that they had.
Yeah.
Which is basically just in-betweeners movie of them going clubbing and drinking.
3 non-actors.
Up till the point where they have to recreate their intervention in a terrorist attack. Yeah. And then the film just ends.
Yeah. With is Nicolas Sarkozy in it, or who's the...
Yeah.
Or is it Hollande?
Oh, no, they meet Hollande at the
end.
Hollande
at the end.
The 1517 to Paris.
This was just like, he liked these 3 guys that did this thing and let them hang out for an hour and a half in a movie.
It's very watchable. It's compelling.
I think it's fucking incredible.
They should have all got Best Supporting Actor nominations.
Yeah.
So Clint Eastwood, I feel like I use these, I hate using hyperbole on this podcast, but one of the most iconic American movie stars. You know, we've been overdue to do him on this podcast because he is such a... like John Wayne, we did a few weeks ago, he's such a face that you can associate with the spirit of American cinema.
Is he going to take over from John Wayne?
Yeah, he did. I think he is a similar...
the continuation of that?
Yeah, he's a continuation of that idea. He was working at the same time as John Wayne when he was first in Westerns. His 2 distinctive archetypes are the man with no name in the Leone movies and Dirty Harry. I've never seen any Dirty Harry films. I don't think I would like them very much, but I have worked with many middle-aged men over the years in retail jobs who love talking about Dirty Harry movies, so I feel like I've seen them by osmosis. The Leone movies are obviously incredible, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and its sequels. I think, no exaggeration to say, the greatest film scores ever by Morricone are in those films, and that makes them worth watching, if nothing else. But Clint is great in them. He's got great presence. He's got an incredible... he's like speaking in Italian and dubbed in those movies. It's really weird, but he's got incredible look, and you could put an image of him on a bottle of hot sauce and people would buy it. You know, it's an iconic image. Right before the first Dirty Harry movie, though, he's directs his first film, which I watched, called Play Misty for Me, and this is where he plays a radio DJ who gets a stalker, and his stalker is played by the mother from Arrested Development, Jessica Walter.
Oh, very good.
And she's playing like a scary woman who, like, he sleeps with her once, and then she starts obsessing over him and showing up to his house, and eventually turns violent. And
is she doing kind of Jessica Walter thing?
I guess so. She's doing like a scary version of a Jessica Walter thing. Like, she's like sitting in a car outside his favorite pub waiting for him to come out and all this. Fun movie. I enjoyed it. It's good. Clint Eastwood being terrorized. Now, it has big like women can be killers too kind of vibes, but good fun. He's having fun in it. And it's his first film as director, and it's very competently made. The Dirty Harry movies kind of run through the 70s. And then there's just lots and lots of Westerns dotted in there. Lots of cop movies. In the 90s, there's some that I really like. Straight after his Unforgiven Oscar sweep, he makes In the Line of Fire, where he plays a Secret Service agent who has to save the president from John Malkovich. And then he directs the movie A Perfect World with Kevin Costner, which you probably talked about briefly on our Bodyguard episode, because I really like this film. This is one of the best movies Kevin Costner's ever been in. This is Kevin Costner as a wanted robber criminal on the run with a young boy who he's kidnapped, who he befriends basically, and they become pals. And Clint Eastwood is like the hardened cop who's, you know, the whatever Texas Ranger who's after him. Really fun movie. Those guys aren't in a lot of scenes in it together, but they have a fun dynamic, as you can imagine, as two kind of types of the same guy. 95, he directs and stars in The Bridges of Madison County with Meryl Streep, which is really, really good as well. I watched that 2 days ago. It's like such a romantic movie about like a Italian housewife living in rural America, played by Merle, obviously, and Clint Eastwood plays a National Geographic photographer who's like a hardened former war photographer. And he shows up to her house and seduces her, and she basically just has an affair with him for 4 days while her husband and kids are out of town. And then he leaves, and she never sees him again, and she's just devastated because it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened to her was this affair with this man. And then years later in the film, she dies, and her kids basically realize that she has chosen to not be buried with her husband because she actually was in love with Clint Eastwood the whole time. It's so romantic. It's really lovely. It's like slow and nice and gentle, and they're both really well cast and well used in it. Highly recommend Bridges of Madison County. Space Cowboys, a movie we might do someday. I'm looking here at his late 90s. And then you got $1 Million Baby. And then Gran Torino, The Mule, and Cry Macho are his 3-star vehicles that come after this. Now, I watched Gran Torino for the first time today. You've kind of seen it,
I feel like I saw it when I was like 12 when I was on RT. When was it out?
That's a movie only a 12-year-old could like. I mean, oh God, folks. I know this film has a reputation, but it was
like when I was a 14, 12-year-old, not really engaged with the world of film. Gran Torino to me seemed like the prestige adult,
for sure,
serious drama movie.
Absolutely,
the top of the Oscars pile and 100%. All that.
100%.
Yeah.
People sometimes say the reason the Oscars decided to do 10 Best Picture nominees was a combined thing of the
Dark Knight
and Gran Torino not getting Best Picture nominated.
Okay.
That Gran Torino being cut out of the 5 that year was part of the problem as well, which is so insane given how insane this movie is. Now, my theory is that this film was entirely made in order to boost the presidential campaign of John McCain. To which I say, why the fuck did they release it on December 11th, 2008, a month after the election? It is a film about what if an old racist veteran was the most important wonderful soul and you'd ever find in America. It is a John McCain propaganda vehicle released a month after he loses the election. It's so pointless. But anyway, a film I've given 1 star and a heart on Letterboxd. I found it incredibly watchable, really moves very well paced. The Nick Shank script keeps it moving. This is the man who gave us The Judge. However, shocking stuff. I mean, this film tries to cover up its racist content with humor and a redeeming arc for the character, befriending, a young boy and kind of getting over his racism with some specific characters. But the film is racist in many other ways, and it implies that, to be respected, an immigrant has to be hardworking and all this nonsense. And it's just badly acted. Like, Clint's really bad in it, and a lot of his scenes. And
it's not depicted as this is just a specific type of guy who exists and has these views, and it should be questioned. Is he being?
Yeah, it's implied that this is a specific type of guy who has these views, talks this way, uses these slurs. You kind of just have to laugh and shrug your shoulders at him. But like, the movie has its own assumptions about welcoming immigrants to America that I'm not a fan of. Yeah. It's like, do the right thing for Republicans, and I thought it was abysmal, but very watchable. And then The Mule, I haven't really ever watched in full. Cry Macho is like Gran Torino, like turned way down. It is like very low energy, very slow. It's another story of him and like a young immigrant boy, like a Mexican kid at the border, and he befriends him. And there's a chicken they have to look after. And you can tell that the man is in his mid-90s making this because it moves so slowly.
It's a bad title.
It's a terrible title. There's a scene, there's basically a speech he makes in it where he's like, "Kid, you don't worry about all this macho stuff. You can be whoever you want," which is the opposite of the message in Gran Torino, where he calls the kid homophobic slurs until he becomes a real man who can carry a
Oh yes, he brings him into like a barbershop and stuff. And
yeah,
gets him to chat shit with the barber.
Awful. Anyway, that's Clint Eastwood's acting career, folks. Will he star in a movie again? I highly doubt it.
What's he clocking in at these days?
90 something. Too old to be starring in movies. I think Cry Macho feels like a goodbye to acting for him. He is born in 1930, so
that man was not far off fighting in World War II. Good Lord,
96. Yeah, he's claiming he's going to direct one more movie, or more than one, which I don't think is impossible, but I doubt we'll see it.
Did he ever do military service?
I don't know.
I feel like that's gonna. I should have done my research.
Should have done your research.
Yeah. Did he Jimmy Stewart it like?
I don't know if he did. I think he might have been an actor before he was old enough to be in the military. He tried to enroll at Seattle University, but instead was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. There you go.
Oh.
And his character in Gran Torino, Mr. Torino, is a Korean War veteran too. He stars in $1 Million Baby opposite Hilary Swank, one of the most inexplicable movie stars of the start of the century. I find Hilary Swank to be utterly charmless, I'm afraid to say. And I'm amazed as to how she was able to win 2 Oscars in the space of 5 years.
I think she's got a look.
You think she has a look? Well, she has she doesn't necessarily look like every other leading woman in Hollywood, but I don't think that she's got a particular charm about her.
Sorry. Just one previous note on that. During his service, he was stationed in a Fort Ord in California, where he worked as a lifeguard and swimming instructor.
Very good.
Yep.
There you go.
That's where you can see he gets the racism from.
Exactly, yeah. Hilary Swank, one of her first movies in 1994 is The Next Karate Kid, in which she is the titular kid. Isn't that funny?
Big into fighting.
Teen star, yeah, exactly. She wins the first Oscar for a movie called Boys Don't Cry, in which she plays a transgender man. Now, when she wins her Oscar for Boys Don't Cry, the Oscars announcer goes, "She wins this Oscar for playing a girl living as a boy in Nebraska." He literally corrects himself to misgender the character. It's hilarious. Anyway, I started watching this movie. I found Hilary Swank to be very solid and charming in it.
Sorry, did that announcer make a mistake, or was that how it was written?
I think that he said boy and then he second guessed himself.
Okay.
How would I know? Anyway, Boys Don't Cry is a real oh shucks, I'm just a small town boy version of a trans person, which is an interesting angle, and I think actually maybe was very progressive for the time. I'm sure this movie was considered progressive at the time. It's got good intentions. It's the character she's playing is I'm a real rural American boy. And you're okay, it's interesting to have a trans character that's leaning into that version of masculinity, I guess. Obviously, if this film was made 10, 15... No, to be honest, if this film was made years later, you'd have Jared Leto in it. So they weren't letting trans people play trans people in films until right now, this very minute. I didn't finish it, folks, because it seemed to be getting into a really, really unpleasant, dark territory. And I didn't have it in me to finish it, but Hilary Swank,
based on a true story.
Yeah, Hilary wins the first Oscar for that, and then it's up to Hollywood to find work for her. She, you may forget, is one of the 3 leads of Christopher Nolan's Insomnia with Pacino and Robin Williams. And there's a poster for that movie where it's Academy Award winners: Al Pacino, Hilary Swank, Robin Williams. So fair play to her. She gets to be the co-lead of a Nolan movie.
It's pretty good.
I don't think that she does a whole lot in that. She plays, Alaskan cop lady. That's what she's got. She plays a lot of cops. Because
has she appeared in a Coen's?
No, I don't.
Never a Fargo or.
No, because she's not an interesting actor. The Coens would never cast her if they.
I don't think so.
If they could, why would you cast her if you could cast Frances McDormand or Holly Hunter? I mean, there's just no reason to. I don't think she's interesting.
I have very little sense of what Hilary Swank is or does.
I just don't think she's interesting at all. I think she's passable in this and pretty charming in Boys Don't Cry with what she's doing, but I don't think she's got anything unique where I would cast her in a film. She's in The Core, $10 Million Baby, she's in The Black Dahlia, Freedom Writers is inspirational teacher movie, and then 2007. This is another film I watched and prepped for this. P.S. I Love You, another 1 star, no heart for this one. This is a film where she is inexplicably cast in a romantic comedy despite having never demonstrated any ability to do romance or comedy. It is a role that maybe if it had been played by Jennifer Aniston or,
Was Jennifer Aniston even in this kind of slop? I guess so.
No, I don't think Jennifer Aniston's ever been in a movie this bad, but don't forget she is in The Bounty Hunter with Gerard Butler. So there is a template for Jennifer Aniston to be in a Jerry Butler rom-com.
Jerry Butler.
I think that Hilary Swank is so miscast in that film, it doesn't help the film, which is generally awful. Gerard Butler doing an Irish accent. He sings the Steve Earle Galway Girl in Whelan's, gets right up in her face while he's doing it. It's so creepy.
No, I was aware of P.S. I Love You. I did not know it had this level of Irishness to it.
Yeah,
I fucking screamed when I saw it.
It's horrendous. They it's a funeral scene at the start where they play Fairy Tale of New York at a funeral, even though it's not Christmas.
Arguably one of the worst needle drops of all time.
Yeah. This movie's horrible. It has this really ugly hen party vibe to it that I hate, which I would say the early Bridget Jones movies do, but not quite as bad as this. It's just got a really ugly relationship.
But it's not. But it's not Hallmarky shit either.
No, it's not too polished to be Hallmarky. You can't even laugh at it.
Yeah.
It's just this ugly cliche really outdated gender roles, kind of voyeuristic towards men. And I'm not someone who thinks that like you shouldn't be allowed to be voyeuristic towards men in movies, but like in a way that's just kind of cheap and gross, and just like an evil little film that I really, really hated. And I thought Hilary Swank
I think it does capture a certain type of Irish man of the time, though.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
Yeah.
an actor I don't care for, who was in another movie with Hilary Swank a couple of years later called The Resident. He shows up as like another Irish guy with a guitar, and he is standing with his hands in his pockets, wearing a tight red T-shirt and you know, ugly bootcut jeans,
fucking puka shell necklace,
and
like,
he is the absolute spitting image of a type of guy
Yeah.
who existed in Ireland, was going to Oxygen in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
Had a meteor phone number.
I was just about to say a meteor phone number. Gee, oh my god!
And it's just like
A Motorola or a Sony Ericsson phone.
And it's just like, whoa, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, you did your research. Fair play.
Yeah, it was really uncanny, you know.
Yeah. 2009, she goes for her third Oscar with Amelia Earhart biopic that co-stars Ewan McGregor and Richard Gere that absolutely nobody remembers. And then she's just in a lot of real boring looking stuff, like The Homesman and Mary and Martha. She's in New Year's Eve. Is
that a rom-com?
Weirdly, yeah, that's like
it's one of those.
stuff. She's in Logan Lucky. I don't remember what she does in it.
I don't
She's
either.
A small enough role. She's not on the poster. I think she shows up in like one or two scenes. She is in the Danny Boyle directed. Danny Boyle, we're going to see him on Friday. She's in the Danny Boyle directed FX series about the Getty kidnapping, Trust, which I'm a huge fan of, with Brendan Fraser and Donald Sutherland. She plays the character, the mother of the kidnapped boy that Michelle Williams plays in All the Money in the World. And she's probably one of the weaker parts of that show. The best parts of that show are Harris Dickinson, Donald Sutherland, and a great actor called Michael Esper, who's really good in that show.
Now, one thing Hilary Swank has done through me watching $1 Million Baby is, I have trouble with this sometimes, but I will recognize Hilary Swank in a film from now on.
Okay.
There is a certain type of actress that not Sienna Miller, but she will not be Sienna Miller from now on.
The only person I can imagine mixing her up with would be Jennifer Garner, who
I called her Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, yeah, that one makes
which
no
is a bit
sense.
silly.
I think her and Jennifer Garner occupy a similar space where like they were too young to play moms for years, but now that they're old enough to play moms, they're like pretty good at that.
Sure.
And that's not me trying to put them in a box of like women should only play mothers. I just think that that's like where her skill set lies.
Like Sandler never recruited her to be a Sandler wife.
No, she wouldn't want to do a movie like that. She takes herself far too seriously.
Yeah.
She's in the Damon Lindelof movie, The Hunt, as like the evil CEO woman who gets. I remember that movie has a really schlocky, like physical fight between her and Betty Gilpin. That's just there for like men to go like, oh yeah, the girls are fighting, and I didn't care for that film. I do want you to look at a poster, so if you can come around quickly and see. This is a Netflix original movie she was in last year.
A squeaky chair coming up.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, forgive the squeaky chair.
Okay.
Look at this poster. This is a movie called, oh my God. This is a movie called The Good Mother. She is in focus, standing behind two other actors who are out of focus, who are Olivia Cook, and who's that there in the foreground out of focus? A man that we sat in the lighthouse watching Bringing Out the Dead.
Jack Rayner. I was going to say Jamie Dornan.
Jack Rayner is out of focus, standing in front of Hilary Swank. The thought of a Hilary Swank, Olivia Cook, Jack Rayner three-hander actually does kind of appeal to me. Anyway.
Saw a big Jamie Dornan poster in the middle of Vienna.
Oh yeah?
Perfume
or something. Yeah. Very good.
Still going.
All right, so that's Hilary Swank. There's someone we'll hopefully never talk about again.
Fun name.
It is a fun name.
It's a good name.
Hilary Swank.
Swanky.
Given what happened with Renee Zellweger, it wouldn't be shocking if Hilary Swank miraculously wins a third Oscar in her 60s.
For a biopic?
I don't think it's impossible. I dearly hope we don't waste another Oscar on a middle-of-the-road actress like her.
People love a three-peat.
A three-peat, I know. We're running long, so I'm going to skip the letterbox game.
Okay.
And let's go straight into the box office. This movie comes out in... I'll give you a minute to pull it up. This movie comes out in December of 2004, right at a perfect award season date. Most of Clint's movies seem to get these like December releases. So this is the weekend of December 15th, 2004. Mm-hmm. What's the budget on this thing? 50-ish, I'm going to guess. And it grosses...
30 as per the numbers.
The thing we never talk about in this podcast is how much people get paid to be in these films. That's the thing we should focus on.
I feel like that was a key point of when we were
going to do it. Yeah,
conceptualizing this podcast.
30 million budget, 216 million gross, insanely successful. Gran Torino made even more than that, I think.
I guess we just don't have a reliable enough source for salaries.
No, I mean I'll Google it here. It says here that she made $3,000. That's just not true. That's AI, Google AI. Like,
don't trust AI, guys. You're saying 17th of December, is that correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. This obviously opened to 8 screens,
Limited
so it's not
release,
there.
yeah.
But,
There you go.
do you want to get moving?
Yeah, let's get moving. Go ahead.
This is a film you like a lot.
A film I like a lot. This is in December 2004.
This is a 5-star film for you. This the lead, or well,
Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah.
Yep. Brilliant film. Didn't come out here till February of the following year, but what a great movie. Brad Silberling. Would highly recommend anyone who was maybe a generation too old to see it when it came out. Go revisit it now because it fucking rules. Jim Carrey.
The next one features an actress who is of the Hilary Swank type, I guess. She came up in discussions we had the other day.
Oh, interesting.
It's Catherine Zeta-Jones. What is she appearing as a tertiary character?
Ocean's 12.
Ocean's 12.
There are 12 of them in this one.
12 guys.
Yeah. Where are you on Ocean's 12 in ranking of 12, 11, 13, 8?
I think when I did my Oceans watch through,
Yeah.
I might have had different senses of what was entertaining.
It's amazing we've gotten this far without doing any Ocean's movies.
Yeah.
We could do... that could be 100th episode.
They're just like not the most interesting films those guys have made.
No, they're not. But they're interesting in terms of how those guys star opposite each other.
Yeah, I always liked 1. I thought it was functional. 3 kind of has its own kind of a Hangover 3 vibe where it kind of just...
13, yeah.
Or 13, sorry.
Yeah.
It just kind of gets into it and has Pacino.
I would argue that 12 is the Hangover 3 vibe, where it's like, fuck you for liking the first one.
We're going to
gonna do
Europe.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
proceed.
Next up is a film you might hate.
Oh, interesting. From 2004.
Yeah, maybe you might not hate it, but it has a reputation for being quite awful, I believe.
It's like Van Helsing or something?
No, it's got a silly name, which is a combination of 2 words.
Oh, interesting. A silly name. Okay, what's the genre?
Silly film.
Is it a comedy?
Yeah. Okay, you go 2 stars.
This is the James L. Brooks movie Spanglish.
It's Spanglish,
which
yeah.
I don't like at all. You know I don't like it because it's the only one of the Adam Sandler serious performances that we didn't do.
This is meant to be serious.
Oh yeah, that's a very earnest drama about, again, similar to Gran Torino, connecting with immigrants as long as they work hard.
Yeah,
hate that movie.
We need a bit more Spanglish and Gran Torino with the way things are going in LA at the moment.
Spanglish is a torturous watch.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like 2.5 hours long.
Next up, probably the film you've seen most in your life.
The Incredibles.
No.
The Polar Express.
The Polar Express. Choo choo.
The Polar Express. Never ever let it cool. Yes, I've seen that film 20 recorded times.
You called it quits at 20.
I called it quits at 20. Yeah. I have ceased watching that film every Christmas Eve as of 2024. An addiction I managed to break.
Next up, we have a David S. Goyer film.
David S. Goyer, former IFTA masterclass subject. God, what was that man directing in 2004? Blade 3?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Great. Well, Blade Trinity.
Blade, Trinity.
Ryan Reynolds in there. Yeah.
I was going to read out a Brendan review there, but you got it too quickly.
Blade Trinity, Blade DCU, Blade UCD, Blade TUD, yeah.
And then Blade Minute starring Jeremy Renner.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Very good.
Oh, we got another banger in here. Another personal favorite of yours.
National Treasure.
National Treasure.
And the SpongeBob SquarePants movie's in there too.
God damn.
Yeah. There were 4 of the best kids movies of the last 25 years released within 6 weeks of each other.
No, next up we got an evil Christmas movie.
Evil Christmas movies. Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks.
Awful. Jamie Lee Curtis and Tim Allen. 2 people I'm sure are super nice and cool.
Yeah.
People we have avoided discussing on this podcast for so long.
That's kind of a boy party.
It's a boy party we'll never do. Based on a novel by John Grisham. That's a fact you love.
It sure is.
We'll get to Tim Allen. We'll do Wild Hogs soon.
Oh, we got another cool guy starring in the next film, which is a Dennis Quaid picture. Well, he's in it. He's
Yours, Mine, and Ours?
Nope. John Moore is the director.
Oh, this movie. John Moore is the director. Irish director. John Moore. Okay, so it's an action movie.
It involves airplanes and deserts.
Oh, I know this one. Yeah, I can picture the poster. Shit. It's got some stupid name. It's called Quantum Unearthing or something.
No, it's like
it has words in it that are stupid though.
Yeah, it's got what is a
saving Trinity or something.
You're getting there.
Yeah, remembering.
What is a type of thing that flies and people are like, whoa, that thing is rising and flying.
Flight of the Phoenix.
Flight of the Phoenix.
Boring.
Yawn. Next up, as mentioned, we got an incredible 3 stretch here, which I'm just going to name them out because there's no point making me guess. Closer, The Incredibles, and SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
What a great! I should do a triple bill screening of those on my birthday.
Yeah, 2004 classics.
Any actors crossover between those three? No, I don't think so.
No, I doubt it.
I don't think so. Clive Owen seems like someone who could absolutely be in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, but Jude Law, to be clear, had like 4 movies on release at this time. Because he is in A Series of Unfortunate Events. Mm-hmm. He's in Closer.
Yep.
Alfie's around sometime like this. Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, and he's in The Aviator.
Yep.
So he's in 6 movies that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. We're up to number 11 now. We're getting into Finding Neverland, Sideways, The Aviator.
There you go. The best
Aviator came out this week as well. Alongside
okay.
$1 Million Baby.
Very good.
Bridget Jones, The Age of Reason's in there.
Yeah.
Alexander, Shark Tale.
This was definitely a moment in my childhood where I started to like lock into what movies were out.
Napoleon Dynamite, After Sunset.
Yeah, like I would have been going to see all of these kids' movies that I'm naming, and I would have seen the posters up for movies like Closer, and Sideways, and $1 Million Baby, and I would have been interested and been like, what are those? And my parents would have been like, I don't know, that's Hilary Swank, that's Clint Eastwood, we don't like them. Okay. Oh, that's Paul Giamatti, we love him. And I would have learned very young who were the good people and who were the bad people. And as an adult, I've had to unlearn that.
Yeah.
Similar to the Russell Crowe thing last week. I've had to actually convince myself that Clint Eastwood and Russell Crowe, compelling movie stars.
Do you think it's a good idea to give children opinions to start off as a baseline?
I think so. Because a lot of those opinions were correct, and I have based my good film taste off of. But then there's just stuff where you're like, well, you're just wrong about Tom Cruise and you're wrong about Clint Eastwood. Those guys are great, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't really get into Clint Eastwood's personal politics. I don't think
we kind of did. We said he has pictures of him and Reagan.
Yeah, he's like a Reagan guy and was a Bush guy and was a Romney guy and is now very much not a Trump guy.
He's a McCain guy at heart. He's a progressive Republican.
Yeah, he also makes his movies in like 3 weeks and
on budget, on time.
Yeah, like they all come out the same year that they are shot. It's insane.
Yeah.
All right, that's our $1 Million Baby episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. The third Best Picture winner we've discussed after The Apartment and The King's Speech. More to come, I imagine, at some point.
Would you rather $1 million or a baby?
Tune in next week to find out. Thank you for tuning in. Visit boypartypod.com. Follow boypartypod on Instagram and Blue Sky. We'll be back next week. Get home safe. Bye.